In a previous video, I briefly mentioned I had a bit of an incident with my car, and in today's video, I'm going to make a whole dedicated video explaining the details, what I did to rectify the problem, and hopefully by the end of today's video, you'll take away some useful advice if you ever find yourself in a similar situation on the island of Samui, in the city of Bangkok, or in any other Asian countries. My car is just behind me over there, and I'm going to back it up and show you exactly what happened. Now, if I walk you around the car, chances are you won't even notice where the damage was. And that's because I've had the car repaired. And the repair job on the car, it's almost like it came out the factory. It's not even noticeable. It doesn't even look like it was in an accident. And believe it or not, the damage occurred on this side of the car, between the passenger door and the rear passenger door. Okay, so what exactly happened to the car? Well, let me explain. I was reversing out of a convenience store, right? It was really dark at night, and all the cars in Asia, especially in Thailand, I think in the Philippines as well, those two particular Asian countries where it's really, really hot, they have a tint on the windows. It's not so apparent during the day, but it's very apparent during the night, and it can really impact visibility. And on top of that, this navigation here, this TFT monitor with your Apple CarPlay, etc., is very, very bright too at night as well. So the tinted windows combined with a super bright display make it really hard to see objects in the rear. Now, this does have a rear view camera as such, as I will show you, like that. And in the rear view camera, there was nothing behind me. And so I reversed normally. And as I reversed outward, rotating my wheel to the left, there was this very slender steel pole that was just there in the middle of the parking lot as you enter. What it was doing was holding the electricity lines from sagging, which is not essential. And I think the reason why it was there is to provide sufficient clearance for trucks to pass underneath it. But the electricity lines were so high up that pretty much the tallest truck could fit through it, so it didn't really need to be there. And on top of that, on each side of the steel pole there were steel rebars, and I ended up going into it on that side there, and it literally scratched from this side of the door all the way to here. So it hit both doors, and I only noticed it when it went past this B pillar here. I stopped the car immediately, got outside to look at what happened, and it had just taken quite a bit of paint off, as well as left a really long scratch that was super noticeable. I didn't go into it hard, but there was enough force from the vehicle reversing outwards to leave a dent in the doors, which I was super surprised by. So I then began trying to find possible solutions, what to do about the car, because I couldn't simply return it like that. Now, every time I've come to Thailand, I've always found myself in this sort of predicament. When I came here last year, I rented a motorbike in Phang Nga and ended up damaging it too. I parked it on a hill as I was taking a drone shot, and I just used a kickstand. And because it was on a slope, the motorbike ended up rolling forwards and fell on its side and scratched a number of the panels on the left side of the motorbike. The scratches were very, very small, but when I took it back to the renter, they looked at the scratches, and for every tiny scratch that they could find, it was a brand new motorbike, they charged me 1,000 baht per scratch. So they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8,000 baht, please, sir. 8,000 baht is around about $240 for some tiny scratches that they were most likely not going to repair. So I learned my lesson from that situation about bringing it back to the renter, because they're going to charge you an extortionate price. I then had another situation in Krabi where I rented a car for about 600 baht a day, and I drove it from Krabi all the way to Samui, and I once again got into a situation up in the hills of Chawang Noi because the roads up the hills are quite narrow and there's only pretty much space for one vehicle to pass by. As I was driving up a narrow road, a Fortuner was coming down and there wasn't enough space, and he wouldn't move, so I ended up moving, reversing back, trying to give him space to pass by, and in the process I ended up scratching the rear bumper of that Honda City that I rented at the time, right underneath it. It wasn't even noticeable. Like, if you bent down, yes, you could see some scratches, etc. But they didn't charge us a ridiculous price. They did ask for 2,000 baht, which, to be honest, is a pretty fair price, considering the scratch went all along here. And this time round in Samui, I've had another incident, but with this Mitsubishi Atterage. So, yeah, Thailand, I don't know why. Every time I seem to come here, I always get involved in some sort of motorbike or car incident. They're not too big, but slight damages here, like to the panels of the body and scratches, etc., seem to be unavoidable. And I would say that's pretty much what it's like in Asia because there's so many obstacles. It's really easy to get into some sort of accident. And if you drive a car or rent a motorbike as much as I do in Thailand, you're inevitably going to find yourself in this sort of predicament. So what do? I ended up panicking for about 2 days. I went onto Google Maps and I started trying to find mechanic shops because there was no way I was going to bring the car back from what I'd learned previously. Some renters are really fair in terms of the price that they ask for to repair the car. Others are a little bit extortionate. And so I found this one place near the airport of Samui that looked like a really, really good garage. It had quite a lot of reviews. I think the average rating was about 4.8, 4.9. And when I looked on the pictures, I'd also seen that they'd repair a Bentley there. So if somebody was willing to take their Bentley there and they were happy with the job, then I think taking a Mitsubishi Atterage would be okay. So what they ended up doing was they removed the fuel cap and they sent it off to Surat Thani for them to mix the paint up such that it would match the car, because as you see, this is not quite a white or silver color. And that process ended up taking about 4 to 5 days to complete, and once it was back, I sent the car back, and it took them literally only 2 days to have the whole 2 doors sanded down and repainted, where I think they applied 3 layers of paint with a primer. And as you can see, the condition of the doors looks like nothing ever happened. It looks like this car was never involved in an accident at all. And I'm really happy with the job that they did. You remember I said there were like dents? Well, they were also able to remove the dents or pull out the dents that were there previously. However, there is one scratch that they weren't able to remove, and that's at the door handle here. Because the door handle has got this chrome finish, they don't have any sort of chrome paint to be able to rectify this scratch here, but it's not really noticeable unless you really go in. To replace these chromium door handles, from what I saw on Shopee, is about 500 baht, so it's not really a big issue. So I'm going to leave the contact of the body shop mechanic in the description. I'm going to leave the GPS location as well as his number in the event that you find yourself in a similar predicament here on the island of Samui. And if you're not in Samui, make sure to try and find a body shop on Google Maps, because with a quick little Google search, you should be able to find something. But make sure to look at the pictures and to look at the reviews to see just how good they are. Because I think for 6,500 baht, I think that is quality work, and I would pay it again any day. While my car was at the body shop being repaired, I ended up renting a Honda PCX, which is this bike you see here, for 350 baht a day. They do give you monthly discounts, and the rate is around about 6,000 baht. You could probably get it for like 5,000, how's it going? Depending on where you get it from. But it's a pretty good bike. It's the newer PCX type, and this got me around the island just fine. And if you're somebody who's trying to save on transportation, a motorbike is great. But on hot days like this, you do work up a bit of a sweat, but when you start getting to like 30, 40 kilometers per hour, the wind does cool you down, so it's not too bad. I think maybe in the future I'll go back to riding a motorbike because it's just easier actually to get around the island. The roads on Samui are quite narrow, and just driving a motorbike, I think you can get around quicker, and I think there's less incidents, but you are more prone to slipping because of the sand on the island. So there's its pros and there's its cons. But I got to return this bike today as the rental period is pretty much up. And just some advice for folks who are going to rent a car or a motorbike: prepare yourself to get in some sort of small incident, because it will be inevitable. Like, there's just too many obstacles in the road for you to never ever have some sort of incident in Thailand. It doesn't matter how good of a driver you are, it's just a matter of time. And even the best drivers, just look at Formula 1 for example, the best drivers are crashing all the time. Just take it slowly if you are going to rent a car or a motorbike, and just make sure you check all the mirrors, because relying on a rear view camera can throw you off, and I think that's what I was doing. And also be prepared, because of the tint and a very bright navigation that you might have in your car, your visibility will be compromised. So if you're reversing, just pop down the 2 front side mirrors of the drivers and the passengers to have that additional visibility whenever you're reversing, because really when reversing, that's when you're most prone to accidents, because you don't have full visibility over the rear side of your car, even with a camera. I wish this car had parking sensors, because then it might have picked it up, it might not have, I don't know. And that's all I've got to say really about the incident with this Mitsubishi here in Samui. I'm going to leave the body shop mechanic a great review on Google, because it really did help me out a lot to find a good mechanic shop. And make sure you go there first as well and just scout the area, see the type of jobs that they're currently doing, talk to the owner, understand what it is they're going to do, ask if they're going to pull out the dents here and there. But this guy, he was great. But I'm just telling you in case you don't go to the same body shop, or you're in a different country or a different location. But folks, if you found today's video somewhat useful, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like today's video, and share it with friends and family. And I will see you in the next video here on the channel. Many thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and bye for now.